We are so back.
Training due to traveling for the holidays, which is don't come back into a peaking phase. What are you playing?
Holiday training. It's really funny. I feel like I'm very susceptible. I would fall for really bad magic.
Oh, dude,
I love it. Shitty magic trick in front of me, like, oh my god, what?
The coins where they're just like, what?
Oh, get it! Burn him at the stake, boys.
See if he floats.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Large Lads episode 29. Sorry about the hiatus. We did an episode. We answered all of the viewers' questions, I promise. And then it got corrupted, and then we just didn't feel like filming another one.
Yeah, it really torched our morale. Because it turned out really good, too. And then I was like, oh, that was a heater. Time to go put an intro together. And then I opened the SD file, and I was like, fuck.
We then tried to redo it, and we can't answer the same questions again, so I'm so sorry about not answering your guys' questions again for the millionth time. Genuinely, we tried to, and Seth immediately summarized the answers, and then I would summarize what we said last time, and it did not make a good video.
Yeah,
So, wrote some new questions. This time, if you leave your suggestions in the comment section, we might actually use them.
We got a really bad track record. Anytime we've had to refilm an episode, the second go-round of it just turns into me and Max just going blank slate, okay, the talking points we touched on were this. It's like the least entertaining shit you'll ever see.
They're like the Spark Notes headlines, really fast. We'll get through this as quick as possible.
I'll do. I still owe you guys that Q&A that I put up in the community tab, which if you see it in time, you could go try to throw your question in there. I'll answer a couple of those. I'll also answer some from that old Large Lads that we touched on, because there were actually 3 or 4 really good questions that we had good discussion on that got lost. So probably tomorrow I'll try to bang out a Q&A really quick, and I'll touch on some of those ones that we were supposed to do in Large Lads.
Also, it's the Christmas edition, if you couldn't tell, from the bows. So, the topic's been brought up. What are the most aspirational fancy groceries? Now that you've been talking about fancy grocery maxing, revenue maxing, so you can afford them.
Road to revenue.
Yeah. Every single video is a part of that series.
Fancy groceries, Kirsten. You walk around the grocery store.
Large avocados.
Let's go.
They're $2 a piece.
Yeah, and the small ones are only $1.50, right?
Yeah. Large avocados is my first.
Do you think they're better, or is it just cooler to have a bigger avocado?
Well, I think it's fun because they're expensive.
Okay, that's really what fancy groceries comes down to.
Woman brain.
Pomegranates.
Okay, let's go.
I mostly shop there at Winco because I'm lazy and go grocery shopping at midnight.
Yep.
Most of the time I'm like, damn, if I could do all my grocery shopping at Costco, that's so anabolic. Those are so fancy.
Well, they got so many good pre-made stuff that's high in protein.
They got a bunch of ground bison and fancy ground beef, and their salad mix. I would replace my broccoli slaw with their really fancy salad mix. It tastes like actual vegetables, which is super crazy.
Or
that's
crab.
right.
Oh my god! If I was really grocery maxing, I'd have a crab meal every day.
Yeah. Or once a week.
Well, part of the reason me and Kirsten don't go to Costco is because there's so many convenience items where it's the holy guacamole things. It's just guac, but it doesn't go bad as fast, so you don't have to time your avocados.
It's crazy. It's
obviously, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I stay away from them for the most part. And it's avocados is a great food for putting together a good diet that digests well. Great fat source, which a lot of people under source because a lot of fats might hurt their stomach. So we'll be oh, we need some of these, and then there's some pre-cooked chicken, and then there's this, and we end up leaving and spending way too much money. So we stick to Winco. A, because it's cheaper, and B, because there's less convenience items. But I'm not sure, even if I was rich, I think I would stay at Winco. I've got loyalty. There's just some fancier items that I would buy.
I feel one, there's things that I'm like, ooh, that would be good, but it's not really money holding me back from it. It's a lot of snacks that I'm like, this just doesn't fit in my diet. Like, I'm going to eat this, and then I'm going to eat less of my next meal, so that's just a bad thing to get. But I will say, good fish would be one of my fancy groceries.
Yeah.
Because, like, bad salmon just isn't the same thing.
For sure.
And like nutritionally, I'm sure I'm getting like some of the benefit, but I think it would be really.
It's not, you're missing a good bit of it. Like farm, that's one of those examples where like, oh, there's the natural version or the organic version, and there's the regular version, or there's the grass-fed. Fish is one. As a general, really broad rule of thumb, it's like things that are fat sources are the ones that the more expensive version is good, right? So it's like when people talk about like grass-fed beef, the only like nutritionally, really the only big difference is going to be the composition of the fat. But if you're buying 93 7-ground beef anyway, it's like you're already trying to get the fat out of it. So it doesn't really make a ton of sense to spend extra money on grass-fed. Just get quality non-grass-fed, and you're good to go. Whereas like grass-fed butter makes more sense. Potentially grass-fed whole milk. Again, wild-caught fish being even further on that like added value. Also, eggs. I was going to say eggs are another one. We're buying the slightly more expensive version.
fancy eggs, okay.
Like, yeah, because there's a bunch of, like, there's a video that John Jewett did breaking down, like, there's a bunch of terms, and, like, one of them is, like, cage-free doesn't mean they actually have ready access to the outside. You want, like, the actual free-roam ones because, like,
pasture-raised.
Yeah, it's the pasture-raised ones, ideally, if you can afford them, because if they can eat bugs, it changes, like, the omega-3 concentration of the fats.
Oh, interesting.
And eggs are a meaningful fat source. So, like, getting the one with the more quality fat source potentially would be, like, of course, like, when we're all in college, like, you're buying the cheapest eggs, you're buying the cheapest milk, and you're buying the cheapest chicken and rice. And that's, like, that is your diet. Especially back when eggs were cheap, right? But it's, like, as soon as you start making a little bit more money, the diet kind of stays the same. That is like the muscle guy diet.
Yeah.
But you just like, okay, well maybe I'll start getting the slightly better eggs. Maybe I'll start getting some beef and splitting like half chicken, half beef. Like make some small upgrades. But still the muscle guy diet. Like,
I was gonna say
you got like the college muscle guy diet, which is like the pumped full of water chicken breast, like canned tuna, rice, historically eggs and milk, maybe a little bit less now. And then if you're like a really diligent college kid, you buy a thing of vegetables.
I never went to college, believe it or not, in a cerebral one. But I did live in your guys' closet, and I remember during that period of time, Sam put me on egg whites. And I was like, dude, this is the easiest source of protein of all time. So I started having an egg white protein shake every day, and it just absolutely nuked my digestion, and I didn't put together that was the obvious new thing in my diet for like truly like months. So I was like, it's crazy, man. My stomach's fucked up.
Yeah, same. I was like chugging egg whites every day and be like, damn, this is so much fucking protein. And be like, oh, my stomach's cramping.
It's funny, I feel like if we were like, you know, super rich off large lads, huge money for fancy groceries, carb source is not changing. I'm buying just white rice. I'm not going to prep anything else.
I like my brand of rice, yeah. I would buy those Bibigo pre-made rices they sell at Costco. Any of you guys who shop at Costco, the Bibigo pre-made rices, really good kind of panic meal if you didn't do your meal prep. If you have like some kind of like canned chicken or pre-put together or canned tuna, and you just throw one of these Bibigo, they're like sushi rice. It's like nice sticky rice. You just throw it in the microwave without even having to add water and just put the can. It can be a good panic meal. Like that's something me and Kirsten and Max have talked about a lot is having like a backup meal for when you were too lazy to do your meal prep. Eventually you start over relying on it, which you kind of need to like tidy it up and stop doing that. But what's your guys' panic meals? Stuff you keep on hand.
Usually I keep something in the freezer that I can like air fryer.
I'm never out of both meat and rice. So it's either, if I'm out of meat, I almost always go either I'll just eat 10 eggs, because I always have eggs, or I'll have 2 cans of chicken.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I know yours is you have canned chicken in like the drawer at all times, just in case you need a backup protein source.
And if I don't have that, I'll just eat 10 eggs. Because I buy 5 dozen plus eggs at a time, so I'm always loaded on eggs. And if I'm out of a carb source, that one's an easy fill-in because it's just whatever is around. I'll steal Nina's bagels, or I'll have
tortillas,
ramen or tortillas. I've been kind of burrito maxing lately.
Kirsten's panic meal
egg ramen
is egg ramen.
Oh, that was a staple of mine for a long, long time.
I'm trying to think. I didn't give my answer. Fancy groceries. I'd probably continue shopping at Waynco because I don't think I could buy Costco price stuff guilt free.
You'd get the salmons that are smoked. In the
The prepackaged smoked salmon would be one. I've been buying them. I've been making room to try to buy them. The big like green drinks, the health drinks.
Oh yeah,
those are
smoothies.
the green drink. Bougie.
Just wait till we get an AG1 sponsorship.
And if I'm fucking wicked rich, bison.
That's been one of your big ones. Is like the real stretch goal. Everyone else wants a Maserati. Sam just wants to eat bison
if I
twice a
can
week.
eat bison every day, once a day, I've made it. I fucking made it.
The other one is a Saturday brunch at our local.
Oh, that's the other one we were just talking about. If we had big bucks, we would all go and take Max's totally not imaginary girlfriend to go to there's a
She's so cool.
Just insert AI generated image. Max totally didn't fabricate that Instagram that he keeps linking on his Instagram.
Bro, I've got a hot babe girlfriend. You guys have to believe.
But we were talking about like if we had big bucks, we would just like before training on Saturdays.
Yeah.
If we had a Denny's, we would go to Denny's, but we don't have one of those. So we'd just go to this diner and like eat a big like bunch of hash browns and eggs. And then go crush some weights for Saturdays.
That sounds so anabolic if we just had a household.
I think there was an old West Side thing. Is like Louis would take them out to fucking Denny's.
Yeah, he was talking about like it's part of the budget. He says like this isn't a gym, it's a team, and I pay for $1,200 diner trips every week.
Badass.
Peak energy drink / pre-workout.
Let's go, Kirsten. What do you think?
I can't have energy drinks because I crash out. So I usually just
Violent.
if I ever have an energy drink, I leave the gym like after having talked to people, and I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. So I have a caffeine pill.
How much is a caffeine pill?
I have half of a caffeine pill, so it's 100 milligrams that I have.
Have you thought about getting just a smaller energy drink? Because that's what I do.
But it has all the B vitamins and
Oh,
stuff in it, and that's what
interesting.
makes me crash out.
Okay.
Theoretically.
I'm kind of on the same page as Kirsten. I've had to reduce the energy drinks, presumably because I know exactly my tolerance to caffeine. I'm very well versed in like what does what, when my tolerance is high, when my tolerance is low, and so it must be the B vitamins. Right, I know when in the day is my caffeine cutoff for how much caffeine. Like I can do like if it's 100 milligrams, I can make it out to like 330, which very like that's my cutoff. Right, if I have like a 200 milligram caffeine pill, it's like noon, so I got to train earlier. But if I have anything that contains like the mega dosed B vitamins, like energy drinks or even like the Starbucks coffees, they start like mega dosing the B vitamins. I am wired at 1 a.m. Because they last, like they don't have the half-life that the caffeine has.
You're doing coffee there for a little bit.
I drink a coffee in the morning, and then I have a caffeine pill before I work out. So like probably is about 280 milligrams a day.
Oh shit! Okay, that's pretty.
Because it's 200 from the caffeine pill, 80 from the coffee.
See, I thought I was gonna get a more diverse set of answers.
Oh, and then if I've got a big session, usually I'll pick for a double caffeine pill or a 1.5 caffeine pill over an energy drink, unless it's like the last session of the block or like something that's a big deal. Like if I'm going for a big PR, I'll be like, fuck it, I'm not sleeping tonight, and I'll have like a rain or something. Sponsor us.
Sometimes I'll forget that I crash out, and then I'll have an energy drink anyway.
Well, what's the best energy drink?
If you're gonna crash out no matter what.
I really like Ghosts or Rains.
Okay.
Sam?
Yeah, I was gonna have an energy drink. They fucking ruined it. There's that Minute Maid lemonade one. Is it Minute Maid?
No, it's Country Time.
Country Time. Whoever shouted, it was like, it's Rise, I think, made a Country Time lemonade one, and I was crushing those. And then they changed how it tastes, and it's not good like lemonade anymore. That's so funny.
That's funny.
I want I'm a second generation
Mike's
over
Hard
energy
pill.
Truly a Nina free workout.
Who totally exists.
A little fun fact for you guys: our dad loves White Monsters and has 3 to 4 every single day for the last 20
That
years.
is an energy drink fiend.
There's been times that he's been driving me to school and we'll have 3 empty Monsters.
You hear him crack, he's driving, like you're on your phone or something. Like, that's your third one, dude. Holy fuck.
So I've been drinking White Monsters since I was probably 9.
Yep. We've been crushing the sugar-free Monsters since birth.
So early lifting match was having a Monster every single workout because I just had them in our fridge because my dad would buy 2 24-packs twice a week, I think.
I have a real soft spot for those too. I'm like,
they're nostalgic for me.
Yeah, it's like a tradition. Is that other people like go home and like, Kirsten, what's something that like a tasty treat that makes you nostalgic from when you were growing up?
Cinnamon toast.
Crunch?
No.
Just
Like the Great Depression cinnamon toast.
Oh.
Where you put butter on toast and then you put cinnamon and sugar on it.
Oh, yeah? Sam?
White monsters.
It's
like if I get home.
Sam got the really generic taco seasoning, and I walked in, I was like,
It wasn't
oh
generic taco seasoning.
It all smells the same.
It was made by Cholula.
It all smells the same.
It's Cholula one. I don't buy the generic one.
Okay, but it smells like the generic one. I walked in, I thought it was my mom's burritos. I'm a big energy drink guy, and I feel like it's part of the ritual. And I assume eventually I'll be like, this is bad for my sleep. I've got to stop doing this. But my in between of not doing that has been I've been peaking my energy drinks. So like for the first 4 weeks of the block, no energy drinks.
Yep.
And then I'll start doing a kickstart, which is like 70 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah.
Then I'll
like
switch
a Red Bull.
Is that the Mountain Dew one?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
No. That's that is.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Then I'll switch to a thin Monster, which is 110.
I thought you were saying
go
like a kickstart of the caffeine.
Oh, no.
I understand.
It's like the brand kickstart. Then I'll go thin Monster, then I'll go full Monster, and then I'll go Bang, and then I'll go Rain for only the last deadlift session.
I thought you were saying
so
kickstart.
not Bang.
I was like, that's kind of steroids adjacent. People are like, oh yeah, kickstart with the 50 mgs of D-ball for the first 2 weeks because I can't wait for 2 weeks for anything to kick in.
I talk about caffeine like I talk about steroids.
Yeah, well, you were like,
guess what?
I periodized them. I'm kind of blasting my caffeine right now. I start with a Kickstarter of Red Bull.
I'm on a cruise right now, so I'm having a full-size Monster twice a week. You guys are now coaches. Kirsten is kind of full-time coaching his job now. What have your insights been for working with different athletes?
Also, real quick before I forget, clue me in on this meme, guys. You guys put it on the Max and Kirsten squatting together day. And you're like, so nice of Max to let Sam's son train with him. Is that referring to Ode or is that referring to Kirsty? I read it and I was like, either way, this is pretty funny, but I don't know to whom this is referring. All right.
Me first?
Yep.
All right. Well, 2 of my powerlifting athletes have had some depth issues. So that's been interesting because I was never somebody who had like chronic depth issues in my lifting. And Sam brought up a really interesting concept of the different ways people think about squatting, where there's a group of people who think about they're gonna stand up no matter what, and then they have to figure out if they did hit depth. And then there's a group of people who hit depth no matter what, and sometimes they stand up and sometimes they don't. So I've been trying to like steer people towards you hit depth no matter what. It doesn't necessarily, standing up is not the end all be all, because if it's not to depth it doesn't matter, because they both want to be competitive powerlifting athletes. That's been interesting.
It is funny because it's like there are definitely elite powerlifters that are I'm gonna
Feel
stand
their
up
way
no
to
matter
depth.
what.
The ones that are really good and they don't miss depth often I'm very impressed, because it must take a very long time to develop, because they're like, people are like going down, they're like, I can't feel if I've hit depth yet. And I was like, brother, I don't feel it. I just try to bounce. Like, I don't try to feel my way to the bottom. And they're like, well, I'm trying to figure out what feeling it is to get deep enough. Can you like stand to the side and tell me like up? Like, tell me when I get to depth. And I was like, that's something that like would never make any sense to you, because you're already just bouncing.
Yeah.
And
you've got the kind of the reckless, like, it's like, reckless is not the right word, because it's very, like, there's a lot of training that goes into making it perfectly safe. But it's like, I'm hitting depth no matter what.
Yeah.
I might stand up, I might not. So there's like the reckless squatter, and then there's that more tentative squatter that like can pump the brakes on it. Like, they could stand up at any point during the negative. Like, remember Yuri Belkin?
Yeah.
When he tried that 1,000-pound squat at Big Dogs, made it halfway down, he's like, that's not happening, and then just casually stood up.
Yeah.
Maybe you were like, how the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, this week's really max half reverse a maximal squat. I was like, ooh, I'm not gonna do that. What the fuck?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I was just so reliant on my stretch reflex that I was just like, I always hit the hole with confidence, maybe a little bit too much confidence, trying to like crash into the hole.
Well, it was the lack of confidence was why you were hitting
That's
the hole,
true,
though,
that's
right?
true.
Because
So,
Kirsten has favorable leverages, but at one point had relatively underdeveloped quads. So she was like trying to save, like controlling the negative was difficult.
And dumb.
And she
for
had
me.
good enough leverages that she could kind of dive bomb from the very top, bounce, and then try to figure it out halfway up at a tough sticking point. And because she didn't have strong legs, she didn't like kind of tension them on the way down, feel like that pressure build, and then you almost automatically stand.
Mm-hmm.
She just like was like free falling, right? But the nice part is the depth is always the same, because it's a free fall, right? So it's like Kirsten was coming from this very different background of like the exact opposite kind of squatter as her 2 powerlifting clients, who were very much are kind of feel your way down, up. And I was like, was that good enough?
But it was funny because I was talking to one of them the other
When you
day.
completely rewired one of them.
Oh yeah.
Now
one
she's
of them-
like
yeah.
never. I haven't seen her miss depth since.
Yeah,
you know?
no. Well, I think also one of them, the people around her previously weren't being honest with her about her depth. So she just thought like her squats were to depth when they were pretty borderline and most of the time with heavier stuff high. So once I was just like, you're squatting high most of the time, she was like, cool, I will just squat deeper. So that was pretty easy. The other one I was talking to the other day at the gym actually, and I told her, like, it doesn't matter as much that you stand up as it does that you hit depth, and she laughed at me. And I was like, I'm being serious, that was not a joke.
It is very funny because I remember, believe it or not, I did start powerlifting pretty skinny because I was 155 pounds.
Yep.
I obviously quickly gained weight, but I've got a pretty big frame, so like I had lengthy limbs for a lot longer than you would assume.
Yep.
And I remember there is a very, very, like going as deep as possible just felt like gross and bad, and I was convinced that like if I could just like figure out where to manually reverse
cut it
it
higher,
that would be like the key to doing it. And it's very hard because I feel like if you're one of you guys are aspiring large lads, lanky limbs, and are like trying to manually reverse it, it's a hard thing to pitch to you guys, but it's really a lot easier to progress your lift once you're committed to like, I'm just gonna hit depth every time, and if I stand up or don't, because then you don't have these like PRs in a gray area. You don't have this like, oh, I probably could have taken it to depth, but I didn't, and that just adds a whole extra like layer of complexity. Where like if you're probably earlier in your training career, it probably is just better to be like, I either got the lift or I didn't. You're probably
but don't do a lazy dive bomb.
Yeah.
Like
well, that's
you have
the
to
difference,
you have to
right?
build tension on the way down, not just free fall, right? Like
Well, I think that's when people squat too deep and it feels bad, is when they're lanky and you squat all the way to depth, but you have no tension at the bottom. So you're like, I can sit my butt cheeks to my heels, but there's no tension there. And we actually had somebody at our gym who I was talking to who he cues people to cut it higher when they're going too deep, in his words, but he ends up getting them to keep tension throughout the whole squat, but just in a roundabout way by just telling people to squat higher. Where I'm like, you should just be telling people squat as deep as you can while keeping your hip tension.
Yeah, just like squat slower, feel it out. Like
Yeah.
You can feel if you slow down. Like tempo is one of the best learning tools. Like we make a lot of use of varied pause heights for deadlifts as like positional audits.
Yeah.
Right. Like make sure we're in a good position here. Make sure we're in a good position here. Maybe on the way down. And that way you feel where you're losing it. Tempos are really good positional audits. Like you and I will pause a lot of deadlifts in our warm ups. Doing tempos in the warm ups to feel like, oh, right there is where I lose my brace. I need to work on that. Right there is where I lose control of my hips. I need to work on that. But when you're going really fast with sub-maximal weights, you don't get that feedback.
All right, next one. How to make bland meals tastier. None of us, or Christian's a better cook now, but I have not been a good cook ever. Sam is not a great cook either, so we make very bland tasting food.
Yup.
What are the easy tricks to make them more palatable?
Okay, Kirsten, do you want to go first? You've got a lot of thoughts
Yeah.
on this, or do you want me and Max to go so you can organize them?
Paprika.
Straight into it.
Well, she's giving cooking advice. Okay.
Yeah.
I grew up in a household where we had salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and I did not know paprika existed. And then I went to college and I was cooking some potatoes, and I was like, why do the diner potatoes taste so much better than the potatoes I make?
What?
Because they have paprika on them. So have paprika, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Because you can just put that with your salt and pepper, and it automatically tastes so much better.
Okay. That's your one?
That's my main answer. And then
Okay.
also, like, you could always do sauces, but those sometimes cause upset
Yeah.
digestion problems, so I tread carefully with sauces. I like to use different spices instead.
Voice a little louder.
I like to use different spices instead.
Say what are you?
So right now I've got 5 meals right now. 2 chicken, 2 beef. One is a protein shake poured on cereal. Right now for the chicken meals, I'm really digging one of them. I got rice seasoning for akake. It's really good. My housemate, my freshman year of college, he was from Vietnam, but he put me onto it. Was like, yo, just put this on your rice, because he saw that I also had a rice cooker and was going through a shit ton of rice. And he's like, oh, do you have rice seasoning? I was like, no, I don't. And so he gave me some of his. Game changer, amazing. There's a big one on. Do you want to go grab it real quick?
Yeah.
It's right in
On
the drawer over
Amazon.
there. Thank you. There's a big one on Amazon. If you buy the little, really good ones at the grocery store, it costs a fortune. Kirsten really likes those, so she buys them. But I bought this really big one, and it's like 80% as good as the standard store brand one. This one, absolute game changer. Highly recommend. very affordable for a pretty big container.
And with honey too. If you cook your chicken too long and it's dry and you just put more dry stuff on it,
it stays dry. So sometimes I'll
great.
put some honey on top of it. And then the other one I got made fun of on my Instagram for, I just put mustard on because mustard doesn't upset my stomach. So it's just like rice, chicken, veggie, and then I just put mustard on it. Pouring bone broth in my beef and rice kind of makes it very easy to eat and adds some flavor. Making handmade burgers out of your beef. If you're just like, oh, I know I should probably be going through 1 pound of lean ground beef a day. That's kind of my plan right now. Like that's just my being you guys' hypothetical plan. Making some of those into burgers and then just getting like a sourdough bun, super easy to eat. And so those are kind of the ones that I'm on a kick of right now. Maybe I got those like red chili flakes that are pretty good.
Yeah.
Those taste good. And then I was going through like honey.
yeah.
Quickly go through mine. One, changing carb sources can sometimes be an easy way to trick yourself into finishing a meal better. Instant mashed potatoes, super easy to cook.
Max has been crushing potatoes recently.
You can just get the flavored instant ones. They're just potatoes that are dehydrated. It's super easy. Or tortillas. Tortillas have a million calories in them, so just make mini tacos. Oh shoot, I thought I had a third one. Or change your meat. Always adding an egg can change the flavor profile.
Yep.
I've been cooking my meats. I'm not good at actually doing seasoning, so I'll buy pre-made seasoning things.
Mixes?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the move if you're a bad cook, because that way I can't really like overdo one of the things. I just can either over or underdo the main bulk one.
And you've been rotating between beef and ground turkey as well, right?
Yes, I bounce back and forth between beef and ground turkey depending on.
Yeah, so it's like if you build out like a pseudo flexible diet where you're like, okay, well I've got a select list of proteins, but those proteins could be rotated when I burn out. Just rotate them. It's not a big deal if you switch like this week I'm going to do ground turkey instead of ground beef, or this week I'm going to do cod instead of chicken, right? You can make those substitutions. But your diet is more built around like, okay, well, I want to have 7 ounces of protein from any of these 4 sources or 5 sources or 6 sources with each meal.
It's very funny. I've been calling them meat units in my head. I'd be like, I need 10 meat units per meal, and the egg counts as one meat unit.
What's your meat unit right now? 10?
Yeah.
You're doing 10 ounces?
I do 9.5.
You big fuck. Holy shit.
I'm not gonna I added a bunch, or I was at 8 and then I moved it to 9.5 because I was like, I want to build.
I was gonna say I bumped to 8 and I was like, oh my fucking
You're not
god.
an extra meal than I am.
10's wicked though.
Yeah, 9.5.
I'm up to 5 eggs on my egg meals.
Let's go.
I thought that was pretty impressive.
How many meat units are you at? Because I remember you had to.
In a day, how many meat
Kirsten
units?
was very unaccustomed to eating like a lot of like boring protein, so she was down to
I was eating no boring protein.
none. So when she started like chicken was the one that was kind of a hit initially.
Yeah.
Didn't really like get down a lot. Couldn't get down enough beef.
Yeah.
But I remember you started at like 1.5 ounces.
We might have started at less. It might have been like
An
less than
ounce?
an ounce of chicken per
And then
meal.
I remember you were like 2.5 ounces.
Yeah.
Was your meat unit?
Yeah.
What about now?
Now, okay, so I buy the 1 pound of the like.
If Max's system counts, technically your egg meal is 5 meat units.
That's true.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so usually I'll have like a pound of chicken, but it's not the water-filled chicken. It's like doesn't cook down as much.
Yep.
And I'll have that each day. I'll have a pound of chicken and some eggs.
Yep.
Okay.
I wonder what that works out to meat unit wise.
I think it's pretty good. I think I calculated it out and I thought I was not eating enough protein, and then I was like, oh, a pound of this chicken is a lot of protein.
It's very funny. It is like the most like rough system because it's like eggs have like 7 to 8 depending on the size of the egg, or 6 to 8.
Oh yeah, dude, counting an egg
egg
as an ounce is baloney.
It's not. It's not. It really does count. Holiday training accommodations. If you're traveling or if you're going
This
to see
is
people.
Kirsten wanted to
So
answer
I
this.
wanted to talk about this because I saw this at work with some of the personal trainers having people who be like out sick or gone who they were training, and then they'd come back and they'd just pick up the block where they left off. And one of them was like going into like heavy lifting, like strength or peaking phase after like a 3-week hiatus. And then lo and behold, that doesn't go so well. So I wanted to say, if you are doing a structured program and you're going into heavy lifting and then you have to take a break to go on vacation, just dial back. Go back to hypertrophy. Go back to lighter weights.
I think having a plan is better than no plan.
Sure.
Where it's like, I think you can continue the block if you're like, hey, I'm just gonna go to the YMCA. You only need to go probably 3 times
if you're gonna do
a week.
something, for sure.
You can probably just coast through the vacation and come back in roughly the same shape.
What Kirsten and I have been recommending, if you just do like calisthenics every other day through your vacation, your ability to kind of pick up where you left off is 10 times better. If you could just do like some push-ups, some pull-ups, and some walking lunges, your ability to preserve your condition. So that's like our more serious athletes. Me and Kirsten have been like, hey, you're on vacation. Obviously, if you have a gym, get as close as you can to your routine. But if you don't have a gym, just giving basic calisthenics routines of like push-up, pull-up, sit-up, lunge.
It works really well.
It preserves condition to where you don't need as much of a dial back. The Sika guys made a really good like video kind of breaking it down of like it depends on where you're at in your block. And it also depends on how long you're gone. If you're gone for 2 days, just continue.
Yep.
If you're in the middle of hypertrophy and you miss a week, just continue. Right? But if you miss 3 weeks and you're in peak, you need to go all the way into a new block.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like those two things kind of multiply together to tell you how much of a peel back you need. So it's like, let's say we miss half a week, but we're in peak. Repeat that week. A 1 week rewind sounds like a great idea, right? Or let's say we miss, I don't know, a whole week in strength. Maybe we do 2 weeks back. There's like some kind of math equation that you need to get a feel for and not just march into failure when that math equation is clearly telling you need some pullback.
Yeah.
And then just trying to like, why would, if they're like, I got so much weaker. It's like, it'll come back fast. You just marched into being upset with the session result because of fucking course it felt bad.
Yeah, if you took 2 weeks
You
off
haven't
and
lifted in
touched
2
the
weeks
weight.
and then try to like resume a rigorous
block.
peaking phase.
Dream physique, humanly possible or not?
What's yours?
Oh god,
You didn't have to in mind when you wrote it?
I didn't. I never plan on me answering these questions. I go like, what would I like to see Sam and Kirsten answer?
I've been following Tiffany Sam, who is a wellness Olympian. Just has the most insane lower body I've ever seen in my life. I'll probably end up like I feel like if I were to train my legs to be that big, my upper body would end up being pretty big because I like training upper body more than I like training legs. But I want my legs to look like her.
You just gotta aspire to big legs. You'll just end up with a big upper body.
Yeah, I'll pull it up for you guys when you're answering because you have to see this shit.
Max, you got an answer?
Because strength athlete, right?
Yep.
Most strength athletes
Kirsten's way too bodybuilding pilled.
look cool-ish, right?
Some.
Not as cool as bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Some of them look cool.
Let me throw out a couple quick answers.
Okay.
Oh my god, damn! I don't remember his name. I don't do circus tricks. What's his name?
Doug Young.
Doug Young. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
If it comes with the fucking jacket of chest hair, hell yeah.
I feel like an off-season bodybuilder would be pretty cool. I have no desire to be super lean, but it's really funny whenever people post like, "Yuck! Look at this off-season bodybuilder and how fat he got." I'm always like,
That's a sick
That's
physique.
what I want to
That's
look
the same
like.
every
It's just
time.
like looking below the max, just like the crazy bicep.
Every time
vein.
people post, I'm like, that guy looks pretty strong.
Yeah, every time I see somebody be like, "God, he took the bulk too far," and it's off-season Jay Cutler, I'm like,
Hell yeah.
I'd kill someone who looked like that. That's sick as shit. Damn, those are some
Christensen.
fucking quads. Jesus Christ.
So you said you were to throw some out. You threw one out.
I threw 2 out.
What was the second one?
Doug Young, off-season Jay Cutler.
Okay.
Yeah, I always am tempted to say like who's like a strong man. Jesus is shaped like a human being that is very, very,
Jesus
very
and
strong.
Ray both kind of.
That they have like quad separation at like 400 pounds, very high body fat.
What about-
their muscles just so? Fucking
What about powerlifting era Pavlo Nekonechny?
I want strong man.
Oh, I mean, yeah, okay, sure, just fucking shredded and also 8 feet wide. Okay. Let me see. Prime Kaz,
Okay.
Derek Poundstone,
Okay.
Doug Young.
Yep.
That video. There's a picture of Doug Young deadlifting. Back then, they didn't necessarily have deadlift training that dialed, so I want to say Doug Young's best deadlift was like 730,
Okay.
despite looking like that.
Yep.
Oh, he looks strong. While his arms are.
I love when they just grab the bar like fucking this.
Dude, do you know who Will Rattel is?
I don't think so.
He's a very popular, like, he kind of niche adjacent to mine on YouTube. more sports performance oriented.
Okay.
But he's very much a like, fuck you, just get stronger, stop with this fancy stuff kind of guy.
Okay.
Where he's like, yeah, just get your hinge and your squat stronger, and then a couple other like your cleans.
Yep.
Very popular. Almost most of the people that like my channel like his channel. Posted up with like a 730 deadlift. One, very jacked. Two, oh my god, he rode it off the ground. Fucking like just like you can see his elbows just bend to crack it off the floor. It's like this man rows. This man does heavy pull-ups and rows. Holy fuck.
I will say, whenever I watch Trend Twins videos, I'm like, God, I wish I looked like that.
Okay, Kirsten goal physique. Manic Mike.
Which one lift specialist is lamest? I feel like as I've gotten farther into lifting, I've become more and more unimpressed by people being good at only one
No, I
lift.
got you. You didn't say powerlifting.
Okay.
Zurcher deadlift specialist is lame. No one can change that.
What if they're really good at it?
I don't care.
Kirsten, what are your thoughts?
I think that this is a cope because I'm not built for deadlifting, but I think deadlift is my answer.
That's lamer than bench specialist?
Well, that's fair. It's not lamer. I think bench then. Yeah, you're right. Because
There's an interesting argument for and against all of them.
Yeah.
Because squat specialists, I'm always just like super fat guy. You're so fat and you can't even bench. That's super lame.
No, that's my
At least
coolest
to be
one.
able to bench.
Yeah,
That's
but
right,
that's the
that's
thing.
the
Is he's a
coolest
super
one.
fat guy, but he can hit depth.
Sometimes
That's
they
more
can't.
of a.
Sometimes they
then
can't.
they're failing.
That's more qualification than a bench only guy. That's just a fat guy who can't hit depth.
Yeah, bench, but it's how much you bench, you know? Deadlift.
If
there's-
you're not Maddox, if Julius Maddox being a bench specialist is fine because he's Julius Maddox.
Yep.
Kirill wasn't even a bench
Yeah, he
specialist.
pulled fucking 900.
I know, he's a fucking 900-pound deadlifter and like a high 7 squatter because of his knee issues.
Yep.
But like a rigorous full power competitor. TD, full power competitor. Bench specialist, unless you're Julius Maddox, I think, or unless you don't have working legs. In which
I was
case,
gonna say, that's the other one.
Peace and respect, Paralympic boys. Saeed Rothman, or whatever his name is, one of the most impressive, the heaviest drug-tested bench ever, technically. One of the most impressive benches ever, like 683, no legs.
683, Larson, in comp, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think, because a deadlift, it works. You do get clout. That's probably the most clout-earning one, is
Yeah.
if you're a good deadlift
I think
specialist.
that's why it pisses me off so much.
I don't know, man. These guys with their elbow wrap benches get, like, as long as in your bench specialist arc, you're doing like, oh, here's me incline, here's me overhead press, all with elbow wraps on.
Yeah.
That seems to also be as much, if not maybe slightly more of a social media clout
Ooh.
farm than being a deadlift specialist.
It is very funny, because if you're talking about social media, that's totally fair. It is weird. There are people who are only good at deadlift that are considered good powerlifters.
Such as, put them on blast, brother. Back your shit.
You have to bleep them out.
Rep your set, brother.
All I'm saying, Kabuki bar is gone. Zach Myers has the total record again.
Let's go. Wow, okay. You did. That is, okay, that's pretty to the point. Okay.
Also, the Kabuki bar is gone.
About goddamn time. We should
yippee.
reset those records. I cannot believe that there was a deadlift record that stood for 10 years. A new bar sponsored fucking meets, and then that 10-year record that no one came close to was shattered by 60 fucking pounds. And we accepted that and moved on.
It's crazy.
This is bullshit. I can't believe that fucking happened. Take it off open powerlifting now. I mean, there's a good, I think we've talked about this. Sorry, I just cut you off. There is a good, and I hate saying this because I love Benny. There is a good argument that 1,000 has not actually been done yet.
Yeah.
Because Benny did it on non-standard plates. They were thicker, and that does make a difference. I remember when Yuri Belkin did a meet in Russia with thicker plates and improved his record quite a bit. People raised a lot of shtick about it. That same shtick, aside from the federation that Benny did that lift in, maybe not being the most reputable, I'm not saying they didn't weigh what they weighed. They probably did. but it's not the standardized setup that we've all been competing on.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, what's the heaviest deadlift actually? I think it's also Benny. He still has
974 on kilos, I think.
I thought he might have done 980.
Yeah. Has someone done a 980 plus pull on a Texas other
Other than Benny?
Yeah. Have any of those been not on a kabuki?
Wait, 980. Anyone else has done? Anyone you're saying has anyone else done 980? I don't think so, because Jamal's 1K I believe was also a kabuki. I could be wrong. If Jamal's 1K was done on a Texas, then it's been done. If Jamal's 1K was done on a kabuki deadlift bar, which I think it was, there's a really interesting argument, a solid argument to be made. Like, okay, well, Bolton did it, but it was on pound plates. Benny did it on wide plates. And yes, those absolutely count, but we've kind of settled on tested is stiff bar in kilos, untested is deadlift bar in kilos, and that's what we've all been apples to apples competing on.
Yeah.
And no one has done it, to my knowledge, on that apples to apples comparison. Like in training, Chris Wiest got up to like fucking 960 or 970.
Yeah. Sir Dave did
960 on the stiff bar, which means he could just fucking do it. Best deadlifter in the world. But no one's done it yet, I don't think, if we do want to tighten up those criteria to exclude non-standard kilos and to exclude the kabuki bar, which we should exclude now that we're going to be losing access to it.
I saw someone be like, it's just a shame because I do think the kabuki bar should be gone, but we can't wipe those records. Why?
Yeah.
It's not like it's like, oh, this is like deleting someone's
An entire
legacy.
era.
It's like
we deleted the multiply guys.
everyone
era.
is still competing and using it. This is like a 2-year
their
fad.
results. Yeah.
Get rid of all of open powerlifting results on a kabuki bar. That's my take.
That does wind me up a little bit. And it's so funny because I remember seeing like a bunch of silly arguments of people being like, yeah, all these people commenting, complaining about it wouldn't even get weight out of it. It doesn't matter for them. It only matters to record holders. And it's like, man, we are so far down this rabbit hole that you don't understand people could be a fan of powerlifting.
The idea of like NBA fans have no right to
that doesn't. The rules in the NBA don't affect you. You don't play in the NBA. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking fan of the sport and I have opinions on it.
All right. We covered, I just wrote, kabuki bar gone, yippee.
Duh. Fuck the kabuki bar.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in.
Although if someone wants to send me one to try to speed up me trying to absolutely fake 1,000-pound deadlift, let me know.
Let us know what your favorite pre-workout was. We appreciate all the comments. Leave a like, subscribe. Sorry for the hiatus.
Hey, let me know what you think of the intro. I whipped that together last night for you boys.
All right, thank you for watching.
Also, tell me if the black and white is cringe on the intro.